Hey, everybody, welcome into Day by Day. I am James. I'm with Alex tonight. Mike and Andrew are out, but we have a special guest. Michael Rose-Ivey is with us. Michael, thanks for joining us tonight.
No problem, man.
Of course, former linebacker for the Huskers, 2012 to 17. Did I get that right?
Yeah,
I
feels
think
like a long time ago.
it feels like a long time ago. In football years, it's a long time. So we're going to talk a little bit of Michigan, get his thoughts on Michigan State. So we'll get into that here in a bit. As always, you can find us on characterchronicles.com, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all the places. Hit the like and subscribe button. It helps more people find us, as always. So thanks for tuning in. All right, Michael, curious, just big picture as we get started. Is Nebraska kind of where you thought they'd be 4 games into the season? I don't know what your expectations were, but they're 3-1. Is about where you thought they'd be going into the year?
Yeah, I think that was about what we expected. I mean, obviously, we want to win Michigan, but I think how they had a pretty close battle with Cincinnati, who we've seen the past 3 weeks have been on a tear. Offensively,
Sure.
especially. Did what they're supposed to do against their 2 lesser opponents, and had a hard fought battle against Michigan. So I think they're about where they're at. If you told me Dylan's completing almost 75%, 70% of his passes, doing what he's doing, I don't know if I would put it that high, but I would expect him to be at least high 69%, 60, 68, 69% going into a second year. But I think, yeah, I mean, in totality, I mean, we knew what the offensive line was going to be going into the year, and I think we kind of got exactly what we expected, right? But I think there's still some room for growth there at that position, especially on the interior, or sorry, on the outside with tackles. But I think all in all, I think they're going in the right direction. We would like to see them run the ball a little better and be able to stop the run, obviously. But overall, in totality, I think they're about where just about every Husker fan expects them to be at this point.
Well, I like how you said that. I think they're right about where reasonable people expected them to be. I think there's a very loud minority that thinks the sky is falling, but
reasonable is the key word.
Yeah,
right.
But I want to talk to you before we get to the defensive side of the ball. The rushing game on offense across the board for us. One, are you disappointed with the second, third, fourth running backs? We don't really know who a clear number 2 is yet. But where I sit right now, I went back and rewatched Michigan. I've rewatched Cincinnati because those are really the only 2 that you can get anything from. I really feel even Emmett, and I'm a big Emmett fan. I think everybody knows that. I just feel like all of our backs are not maximizing opportunities. I feel like the backs are leaving a lot of yards on the field too, in a way that would help the offensive line succeed in those crunch situations where they're not getting the job done. What are your thoughts there?
What do you mean, like in what ways? Like just not seeing the hole, fighting through contact kind of thing?
Missing the hole. I think there's a clear difference between virtually every running back we've had -1 or 2 for a couple of years, for probably since Rex and Amir were here, at not just exploding through the hole. Sometimes they get a little wiggly in the hole, and then we really struggle at making guys miss in the open field at the second level.
Yeah, that's not it's not an easy, I say an easy trait for back. I think that's what separates like good from great backs. Like I think running back's one of those positions that, not everybody's the same, but there's like very small things that separate like those guys. Maybe in any other position. I think O-line can be very similar in that too. That there's a lot of stuff that you would like to see, but I mean, the guys are just who they are. Like I look at Emmett. Emmett's East-West, smaller back, right? Good in zone type schemes, right? And like you said, you really don't have a second guy. I say my more concern would be just the offensive line, right? Then the running backs per se. Even if I don't know who the number 2 is, I mean, I don't think it necessarily matters, right? Per se, who the second guy is. Do we have run concepts that we feel comfortable with that we can run, consistently, and can set up? Because I think when I was talking to DB and those guys, just kind of about like the run game and look at Nebraska differently. It's like the guys they have is the guys they have, and the scheme they can run is the scheme they can run, right? So they got to find something where they can be consistent and be able to line up and run. That's a big thing with the red zone woes right now is that like you get to short yardage situation and you're getting blown up or you're not getting any pushback. So
Yep.
I look at it more so. I think it's definitely I think it's a trio of things, right? It's Dana getting comfortable with being able to run some of those certain concepts that they feel more comfortable with. I think they're definitely more of a inside zone, mid zone kind of team. Let Emmett kind of be able to pick his hole and be less of like gap runs like duo where he's kind of it just takes a little bit of while for one I think for us to get our double teams and two for him to be able to read it sometimes just because I mean you can say they're getting wiggly and squiggly or squirmy going through the hole, but shoot, if a linebacker peels through a gap 2 or 3 times, I mean I'm
Yeah.
if I don't trust my guys get to that second level, yeah, I'm now looking to absorb contact at the second level instead of run through it. And and the great running backs, just kind of go back to my first point, the great running backs are the ones that obviously they're going to run through it regardless, right? And I mean that's just being, I mean great is that's a especially in Nebraska terms as far as running backs. I mean, that's a echelon of backs that even
Yeah.
can rival any school. So, I think, like I said, with running backs, we have a good set of backs. I think I would like to see Mosey get some more carries or at least some more touches. Final would get him involved. But I think right now we just don't have that. I would say a bell cow back that like 6'1", 195, 200-pound back that can really take 20, 30, 20 carries, but be positive in the yards after contact. So it's a trio of those things. Dana, obviously being called the right plays for his guys. The running back seeing the hole and hit it, but also the old line. And who knows too? I think Dylan has a lot of, and I don't think this has been talked about enough. Dylan has a lot of say so at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Is he getting you into that right run call versus looks? I think that could be something that could be looked into more context and maybe asked rule about and stuff like that. Is he getting us into that right look? But again, it's things that kind of we don't know. But I'll say at the end of the day, it's the old line's gotta be more physically imposing, for Nebraska to really be able to be better offensively.
So I'll ask this again when we get to the stuff that happened with Michigan, but for the offensive line, how much of that coming as a former player and a coach now, how much of that can be fixed in season? Like obviously you can't go out and get new guys.
Yeah, you can't get new guys. I mean, I would have to watch the film with more context and see how, I mean, because the obvious was the pressures. I mean, the being overwhelmed with power rushers and, then it becomes just a big, I'm sitting on power and now there's running right around them, kind of like see more refs outside of those, just like the pressure clips I saw. But I mean, I don't know. Because, I mean, the thing about football is just like life, if you can't handle something, you're going to get hit with it over and over, right? So if it's something to where, hey, like this guy really can't set well on power, that's not going to get fixed right, during the season. You know what I mean? So is it a schematics thing? Can we fix schematics? So that's always the thing, right? You got X and O's, but Jimmy's and Joe's. Okay, my Jimmy ain't better than their Joe. Then what schematically can we do? We keep tight end in, we keep the running back in, but Dana wants to get 5 out in the route concept, right? So that's where I think that puts a little strain on him, with his philosophy. And again, he had the bye week to be able to adjust that, but yeah, I mean, I think it can be looked to be corrected, but if it can't be corrected with technique, then it has to be done schematically and with more, 6-7 man protections.
Yep. Now you're probably not going to have an answer to this one because you already said you have to go back and watch the film a little bit, but I'm going to bring it up and then I'm going to follow up with you after this and get your opinion. When it came to the speed rushers with Michigan, I noticed a few times that it seemed like the tackles were dropping their outside foot a little too far and kind of opening their hips and creating a straight line rush, trying to get deep. Is there a world where there's a combination of that and Dylan taking two steps too deep into his drop that initiates that pressure that can be alleviated just by, hey, let's straighten out that first step and cut the drop by a step?
You know, I think I don't know. I think it's a feel. It's kind of like going back to the running backs. Like, you know, we may have a set drop for 3 to 5 steps, but again, if I'm feeling pressure within a second and a half of my drop, you know, I'm gonna try to step up and try to make something happen. You know, so I think it's a combination of both. I mean, again, when everything's kind of overwhelming as it happened, like so early in the game with them with Michigan, like that first
Yeah.
series, I mean, you just saw 2 straight just dominating the pass rush, and you're like, oh shit, we're gonna be here for a long game, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that was kind of like eye opener. Okay, like how are we gonna adjust? But again, I think a big part of that later on in the game was again when you're getting hit with power so much, it
Mm.
now becomes right. Okay, I'm just gonna run up the field now, right? I'm just gonna try to run up the field and push them by. But when you got guys that are as athletic as Michigan's edge rushers that can bend those corners, I
Yep.
mean, you give those angles, you get out late in your set. I mean, you take a bad angle, you know what I mean? It becomes, like you said, it becomes a race, right? And he's getting to run forward and you're running lateral. And you ain't gonna
Mhm.
win that, especially being a 6'5", 300 some pound lineman versus 240 edge, right?
Mhm.
So I think a big part is that the power early. I mean, and kind of getting those guys a little bit, you know, maybe off their line or path of their pass set. Um, but again, I mean, it's context within the film. You know, maybe Dylan needed to step up. You know, I thought sometimes he could have got rid of the ball a little bit earlier, you know, to some check down stuff. But again, like we don't know what's coming in the play call in the huddle, right? And we don't know, you know, what's kind of been told to be executed. So,
Yep.
you know, I think, I mean, shoot, especially with the number, I think Dylan did as best he could with getting
Oh
pressured. I
yeah.
mean, they said it was 36 times. I mean, like I said, I went through the offensive part and skimmed through it, but
It
I
seemed
didn't see
high.
30. I didn't see him 36 times, but you know, hey, whatever the PFF guys do.
Yep.
So,
They throw
but
out grades that I don't understand a lot.
Yep.
yeah, and I don't know, maybe I should. Well, I went through the whole PFF trial, so I got a little bit of idea how it works, and it's it's interesting. It's a little interesting, but
So
yeah,
so
get what you get from there.
speaking of the bad angles, let's flip it to the Nebraska defense because I thought your thread on Michigan was beautiful. It was wonderful, and I think what you showed was contrary to what a lot of fans are saying and media too. Is Nebraska was just manhandled up front, and
Yeah,
I watched. I mean, I went through your whole thread. I watched the game again on Monday, last Monday, and I was like, no, I just don't think that's the case. So
yeah.
kind of sum up what you walked through in that thread for people who didn't see it. And if you guys didn't see it, if you're listening or watching, just go to Michael's Twitter and you can find that from last week. But would you just kind of sum up like what were you seeing from the defense, specifically from the defensive line? Because I think that's where a lot of fans' fear is.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the numbers. I mean, numbers lie to a certain extent, right? Especially when you know we again like just trying to get more knowledgeable about talking about football that we just don't equate you know, Russian stats allow, you know, it's just, oh, the D line. Oh, it's because
Yep.
they're small. Oh, it's because we're stunting. It's like let's look at the context of it, right? And again, I've been pretty vocal about it. I thought the D line played pretty well. Like I mean, again, there's a couple small things, but I mean, you know, I thought again it was more so on the second level, third level too, but more so on the second level, especially from what
Hmm.
I saw when I posted that video about you know what does Nebraska need to do to stop the run, you know, and the you know fans obviously chimed in and you know kind of gave a little feedback to him, but the biggest thing I saw was just aggressive freaking linebackers. Like it
Yep.
wasn't the D
Yep.
line, yeah, they were stunting, they were getting penetration, but what I saw was with mostly the Oklahoma stuff, even though with New Mexico, like they were in a battle with New Mexico for quite
Yep.
quite a bit of the game. But I saw their linebackers playing at close depth, which you know you still saw Nebraska playing at that 5 yard range when you know you saw Oklahoma, they're at 3 yards. And they're
Hmm.
blitzing their run fit, getting those double teams off of them, allowing their stunts to get through because now I gotta get off of that a little bit earlier. So that's the biggest thing that I wish we would have got from our guys, either by play call, which run blitzes, you know, plug guys, or by adjusting their depth and say, hey, we're playing at 3 yards. If Underwood comes out here and has the game Dylan Raiola has, then hey, congratulations to him. We
Yep,
just helped
tip
him
your
become the
cap.
first round pick in 2027. Like, hey, great
Yep.
job. But he can't get the the runs that he got, especially on the touchdown. Which I don't know. It looks like it'd be a miscommunication with safety back or who's supposed to take the running back out on that motion type thing. But I thought D line played well. Again, I thought the second and third level could have been more aggressive in their fits. But
Yep.
again, Michigan is like, their run concept, their run scheme is like, a West Coast offense within itself. Like there's so many intricate parts within it. And I thought their O line did a great job. Obviously playing against Oklahoma and playing against that fast
Yep.
unit. I really thought stunts were gonna, get more penetration, but I thought they did a really, really good job with their zone combinations. Like it was the cleanest I had seen them. And I had been on that game, for about 2 weeks. So I had watched the New Mexico one about 3 times. I watched
Yep.
the other one about 3 or 4 times. And so that was one thing I really saw was, with the stuff they had with the interior guys kind of getting interchanged out, also losing Andrew Bababoloa, I think his last name, the left tackle I'm from a
Yep.
Kansas City area. Um, that they kind of struggled early on in communication, getting their zone stuff figured out, but they did a great job, and I think they got into
Did.
Nebraska. What again I talked about at least earlier in the season was they kind of got hit versus Cincinnati early on, didn't really get hit later on after that, but until Michigan. But those backside 3-by-1 runs to the corner where you got to figure out, hey, are we going to fit our corner in the fit, or are we going to fit our safety in the fit? How do we fit our backer? And the Haynes run, right? It was great stunt call. Um, Even got my guy DB to post out a clip of Tony White and those guys running against the same look. Um, but I mean, it's a great call. I mean, just some small things here and there you like to see a little bit different, second, third level. But um,
Yeah,
again,
you
we
even
got
had
to
a guy
look more
in the hole on that
context.
one,
Yep.
on
Yeah,
that
you had
He was
Haynes
Shaver.
there.
one.
You had Shavers
Shavers
there.
was
I
there.
mean,
Yep.
he's in a bind there. It's just what I don't know is because it kind of depends on what was told to him to tell you who's wrong. Because if he's told to push that ball back to the field because he has a backer to the field, and he's got to get on the outside shoulder of that blocker. You know what I mean? And even if he's told to be on the inside of it, like I said, kind of thread, I would like for him to put his hands on the blocker and kind of control him more,
Mm.
knowing that you have all that space. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
again, in order to play behind, moving fronts, right, you got to have a lot of reps of it and understand that
Yep.
we can plan for this, but it may go this way. So being ready to execute it, however way it unfolds in front of you, but. Uh, yeah, the angles are important, right? But again, like I said, I would like for those guys to take away those angles, those blocks, and get up closer to the ball. You know what I mean? Play faster than run fits.
I think everything you just described, and Alex, you could chime in here too. That's different than the offensive line situation. If we have offensive line issues
Yeah,
just because of
for sure.
like Alex last week, you're like, can we stop with the 6'8" tackles, right? You have a high center grips, like that stuff you
Yeah.
can't change. This is like what you just described to me is
It's more I mean, I think we
this
can
is
find more ways. I think we
go
can
ahead.
find more ways with schematics and even with bodies. I think there's still some great depth at D line, even at line. I think at linebacker
Yep.
too. Like I
Yep.
love to see Dawson play more. I thought Shavers outside of that one play that maybe he could play. I thought he had a really good game. That was this type of ball
Yep.
game. May need him more this week. But I think like you saying, like I think offensively, it's more of a question mark. And I think a game by game thing. Like I think defensively they'll get it figured out. I
Agree.
I I I don't know, no betting the house or bet anything, but I feel more confident that'll get figured out, can get figured out this year before the tackle situation does, and I think that's fun. I think hopefully keep winning ball games. All those guys at that Michigan game saw the fight they put up. I think number one tackle in 2027 class was there, and some other guys. So keep winning. Keep delivering a great product like Rule's doing, and we can get some of that high level help. Because I think that's where we're really like the next step. It's like we need to get a high level offensive lineman committed and develop in our program so that can get the ball
Yep.
rolling. You know what I mean? I love the idea of the pipeline, maybe walk on guys or Nebraska guys, but
Yep.
you got to get the best talent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got to get the best talent. And I think that's where we'd like to see, maybe I need to donate $1 or $2 to the NIL fund. Maybe we can
Hmm.
get one of those those big guys on campus.
We got to get a QR code on this show.
Yeah, there we go. Yep, donation. Donations.
But what I love about this is just such a rational take. And like what we try to do on this show is we're fans, but we're
Right.
rational. We try to be reasonable. the sky is not falling, but it's like I just see throughout, not just on Twitter or X or whatever, but just conversation like, oh, like, man, there's like, here we go again. I was like, are you watching the game? Like this is not the same Nebraska football that we've seen for the last 4 or 5 or 6 years. And so like, I just appreciate like you just have this like, hey, they're doing okay. Like we still have, what's the percentage, Alex, of freshmen and sophomores on this team?
It's like 90 freshmen and sophomores.
You talk about, Michael, you just talked about like it just takes reps, it takes experience. It's like they just don't have that yet. That's
They're the
okay.
youngest team in the conference. Like,
right. And I mean, that's a good thing. You know, so that's a good thing, especially early on. They've been able to play a lot of guys. You know what I mean? So I think, and just the way rules develop, the practice schedule, stuff like that. Like, I think, they're building towards being able to have championship level depth. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just got to keep coming. It's going to keep coming.
Michael, I want to ask you this, and then we can jump into Michigan State. A common complaint I heard over the last week and a half, week since last Saturday is, why can Cignetti do it in year 1 and year 2, but not Nebraska?
You're gonna go there. I love it.
Now I have my own opinion, but I want to hear it from somebody with far more experience.
Yep.
Well, I think he had a jump start. Let's say that, right? I think expectations breeds pressure, right? And you go to Indiana. I mean, about more times than not, over the past couple of years, they've had their years, right? They've been decent. But about time October, November, they're pulling out the candy cane jumpsuits looking to go into the arena for basketball, right? So I think there's a different level of expectation, a different pressure pop, right? We're on the same stove, but I think it's a little bit hotter, here in Nebraska than it would be for Indiana. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big part of it. He also had, a large amount of guys come from his previous school, come with him that first year. So that was able to jumpstart it, to instill culture, right? Guys already knew what to expect and kind of, shed light on kind of coach and how he goes about doing things and all that type of stuff.
And you're not installing the playbook. It's already
installed.
installed.
It's already installed. I mean, you're ahead. You got a lot of head starts there, and again, I think there's a lot of things Rule probably have to deal with. Internally as far as just the construction of authority or the hierarchy of authority. You have Trev, leave, in the middle of that as well. So I think stability might have been better in Indiana as far as in the athletic administration or top down. You know what I mean? That you're able to take advantage of that. And that's what I think people don't understand. It takes it takes a great amount of alignment from obviously the sports program, whatever it is in general, right, to the athletic administration, to the help and support they have there, to create quality programs, right? So I think I think that's started the form for Nebraska, and they're getting there. But again, I think there's a lot of benefits that Cignetti kind of had coming into Indiana, and I think people always going to look at resources, tradition, history. Like again, it should have just happened for Nebraska. But again, we're coming through a mess, right? You know what I mean? Trying to get everything straightened out, right? Like a bunch of electrical wires just thrown into a box, right? And we're just trying to sort out and see what do we have, right? And I think at this point, Rule's got the box and be out. We now know we have. Okay, now what's usable? Okay, what do we need to replace? And I think that's kind of where we're at in our stage. But
that's good.
I mean, there's no point of comparing yourself to Indiana. Like, I mean, I get the recent success and all that, but you can't be so, I don't know, envious of Indiana doing what they're doing now, right? That you want to kind of just throw away what's kind of being built here.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think it's better that way, in my opinion.
Exactly. I'm glad the word you used, built. I think that's very important in this conversation. I think Matt Rule and Cignetti have totally different styles in the way that they're.
Oh yeah, I didn't bring that up. Even just the personalities, I think how they go about it.
Personality, but Cignetti, in my opinion, if we get a random Indiana fan who catches this show, I mean no disrespect, Cignetti took a shortcut in terms of bringing over a ton of guys that were already in his system, went heavy on the transfer portal, got guys that were used to winning, and they were upperclassmen. And again, we have 90 freshmen and sophomores. Like, Rule went for a whole foundation starting over, just basically demoed and started over. Whereas Signetti just put the house on a truck and moved it over.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, there's no discredit to him because I mean, even with bringing all those guys over, it still takes again a great amount of alignment to get everybody on the same
Yep.
page. But at the end of the day, like again, you know, we're Nebraska football. Like, I don't think we want to trade anything for the history of Indiana football. Again, no disrespect, but just you know, I think we focus on us, and I think that's a big part of too with me. Like, focus on us. Like, even like I kind of gotta. I don't know. And I know James Williams pretty personally too, and even you know, and Tony White, and kind of like basically Husker fans spent the whole week dunking on it. It was like, man, like we got too much, we got so much other stuff to be worried about with our program. Like, I get the pettiness of being a sports fan, but sometimes it's like, man, we got our own house and situations that we need to be figuring out and dealing with. It sometimes I think we get so worried about being how we perceived in the national light, even as fans, right? That we forget that you know we represent something bigger than us, and we can kind of look a little funny in the light, you know. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
So true. All right, let's talk some Michigan State. I still have a little PTSD from the last time we played Michigan State. I think that was the punt to the other side of the field, if I'm not mistaken. So whenever, right? No, are you sure? Did they
Rule's
come
first
here?
year we played at Michigan State too.
We did.
Yeah,
I must have blocked that out. See, I blocked it out. That's how much the punt affected me. So, Michael, when you see Michigan State, you've watched them. Alex and I were just talking before you came on and we hit record. You know, I've seen highlights. I don't think, Alex, maybe you've seen some highlights, but Michael, when you see Michigan State, what jumps out to you?
Initially, I mean, Aiden Childs. I mean, he's like. I mean, when I watched Michigan State, it was kind of like. You know, I think Underwood's good. I mean, he's better than Aiden Childs. I don't know, but I see like a more mature version of Underwood in a sense. I think he's definitely a little bit more elusive. I'll say. I think Underwood's a kind of a bigger guy, but I think they're about the same height. You know, but Childs is a little more elusive. Likes to throw the deep ball. Big time more may not always be consistent with it, but you know, consistently accurate with it, but likes to throw it out there. You know, I think they again, I think I said it in my thread, like they provide a good schematic like retest from last week. Like I don't think personnel wise, I mean, I don't think much really scares me per se or thinks to be a high priority outside of making sure Charles is in the pocket. I mean, I think that's the obvious. Don't let him be able to extend third downs and things like that. But outside of that, I think their O line is, you know, average. I don't think they've given up a lot of pressures. They haven't been great at protecting them. 10 sacks, I think, in 4 games, which is high. You know, that's up there with a lot more pressures added. So I see a team that obviously wants to run the football. They want to establish the run. But I think I heard you guys talking about it in the pre-show. Just you know, they are a Pac-12 team, right? You know, so as far as their head coach, you know, kind of where he's came from and where his history's been. So um, you know, you saw last week versus USC, you know, they got down early, came back a little bit late, but you know, were able to really make it a push. I think they're a good team, but I would level them to a Cincinnati per se. Maybe even worse. I think defensively, I think on their defense, I think they've struggled big time in a lot of key areas. And offensively, again, I think they have a good quarterback, kind of like Sorsby. I don't know how good he's going to be in the passing game. Again, our DBs have been really good, but also I think the 3 receivers they have are pretty decent. You know, Nick Marsh, he's more of a bigger possession guy that I think, you know, you get a matchup against Sierra, you know, and maybe a little bit smaller guys, you know, maybe he can get some body catches, things like that, possession type catches. Um, who's the other guy? Not McCoy. McCoy is decent too. He's the third receiver. Kelly, Omari Kelly, number one. He's their leading receiver. He's been pretty big for him in some big time passing down the field. So I think again they provide the similar challenge in Michigan. Can we keep the quarterback in the pocket? Right, they're going to throw a lot of screens, RPOs. Right, so tackling on the edge is going to be important, and getting him down. So I think they're a good opponent, but I don't think they're. I don't know. I don't think anybody's afraid of Michigan State or kind of what they present. But I think they will provide some challenges, right? And again, like I said, an opportunity to kind of look at some similar looks from Michigan last week and see if we can correct those things.
And
Yeah,
defensive.
I was
Go ahead.
comparing all three of the quarterbacks, Sorsby, Underwood, and Childs. They are all actually within 10 pounds of 1 inch of each
Wow.
other. They're
Wow.
all the same quarterback build wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Childs is good. I actually would argue I don't think he's talked about enough across the conference.
Yeah.
I likened him much more to Sorsby. I think he, he's completing almost 69% of his passes. I think he's a better passer today, and that just comes with experience than Underwood
Oh
was
yeah, for
last
sure.
week. So yeah, I mean, to everything you said, can you keep him in the pocket? Can you slow down the running back run game? Like, I think
So
we
that's where I
can.
feel like I feel like I don't know. I mean, from what I saw, I think the run backs run hard. I said the Frazier kid. I think he's a tough runner. I worry more so about him with just creating like extra yards on like third and shorts, second and shorts to like extend drives. Or I don't necessarily feel like they're breakaway backs like Haynes was
Right.
and even Marshall last week. But I feel like the extra leakage yardage, like first contact, I think that's the biggest thing I'm worried about there.
Yeah.
But I really think, I mean, we talked. I've seen a lot of talk about, do we stunt more, do we play base more, and stuff like that with D line. And I think if there was a game that you wanted to kind of see if your guys could play base, I think this would be it. I mean, they even with the run game, like they've struggled with giving up, pressures with fast guys and just moving fast across their face and linebackers blitzing gaps. Their guards have struggled with
Mm.
interior blitzes on runs and things like that. Um, so I would again kind of going back to what we saw in Michigan that I would like to see is the backers being up in the box more, close to the line of scrimmage, fitting their gaps faster and just getting there, making things a mess because we know we got three guys on the back end, safety wise, that can roll and get into the fit. Just be more aggressive with the run. Like if we're gonna lose with our three DBs that are doing a heck of a job on the outside, plus our safeties playing man coverage. I mean, me, that's kind of where I was at toward the third, fourth quarter of Michigan. Like, all right, screw it. Let's stop playing cover two
Sure.
and stop, what I mean? Let's just put everybody, let's just do it. Let's
Yep.
Yeah.
overcommit to it. You know what I mean? And I hope it's kind of a learning, just as much learning for the players, but just also for Butler. Like this is his first year calling plays in the
Yep.
in the Big Ten and kind of getting a feel for what he got with his roster. You got 90 sophomore and freshmen, like you said. So I mean, you're hoping those guys are focused every week and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do to get prepared for games. But um, I would love for him to just be aggressive. Like again, if Aiden Childs throws for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, then hey, we need to look at something else. But Bo Pelini code. Hey, we can't ride a roller coaster, right? Let's make a different mistake. Let me coach something different today. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I don't want to coach the same thing. Like let's be more aggressive in our fits. Let's get the ball down right on the first attempt, and get guys rallied to the football. And I think two more opportunities for turnovers, right? Just try to create more turnovers. Give Dylan more
Yep.
opportunities to score the football
Yep.
in good field position, so we can take over the game early. But I'm confident. I'm pretty confident they're going to bounce back. Like I think I said at the end of my post is just how does it look, right?
Sure.
Does it look physical? Does it look like these guys are truly pissed off? Because how many times we heard guys say, the past 2 weeks, right? We're pissed off, right? This isn't over, and all. It's like, okay, like we hear it, right? We hear it, but
Yep.
is that attitude going to translate to the game?
Yep.
That's the biggest thing.
I don't know
Yeah,
how
I
much
think.
you've
Go ahead.
I don't know how much you've looked at Michigan State's defense. What do you expect from the off? I mean, do you think Michigan State has the capacity to stop Nebraska's offense?
Dude, I don't. They couldn't stop USC for worth nothing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they were in they were in a 42-40
Boston
ball game
College.
with
Yeah.
Boston College.
Yep.
No disrespect
It
to them,
seems
but I think
pretty.
Dylan's
Talk
better
about
than those
leaky. Yeah.
quarterbacks.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like they definitely give us some leaky yards. They're not the Michigan State. Like you think about them, quarters, press in your face on the outside, safeties in the run fit. They're just not that D'Antonio type of unit that they
Yep.
used to be, unfortunately. So I think there's a lot of opportunities. Again, I think Dylan's gonna have a Dylan game in the passing game. You want to see them be able to just run the football with the 5 yard per carry clip, five and
Yep.
point three. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Maybe hit a big run, and Michigan State's giving up those opportunities. And I think they struggled at DB. throughout the year, early on. So I look for our outside guys to make some plays. But again, you want to see them run the football. Because is it sustainable? I look at we're blessed with this weather right now. I mean, maybe I don't know, if blessed is the word. I cut my grass today and almost died. Uh, but at a certain point, we're in the Big Ten. It's gonna start to get colder.
We got rain.
It's
gonna be
gonna
cold,
rain.
yep.
It's gonna be windy. Right. We're gonna get a 12 o'clock game versus Northwestern, where the wind's gonna be just going crazy. So we got to be able to run the football. We know how that gets started later in the year, and it's like again, we talk about the roster being built for depth and being sustainable.
Yep.
I think what Rule had probably went back to is, hey, is this offense sustainable for us to get to 8 to 9 wins where we think we should be able to get to this year? And I think that's the question that has to be answered early on, right, within that script. But also not in this, because I look back at the Michigan, I thought, man, they had some really good on-script runs early on. I don't feel like they went back to the off-tackle misdirection stuff, right? If you got those guys getting up the field, right, I think the Emmett run off the left side on that was one of the
quarter.
better runs.
Yep.
Yeah, the first quarter, I just like, okay, let's get back to that, right? Let's get back to letting him get outside, because I think just kind of throwing him in the A and B gap, kind of on zone stuff, kind of just, again, I think you talked about it. One of you guys said it earlier, just are we giving each of our running backs, and I guess maybe more importantly, Emmett, the best opportunity to succeed within the offense, right? So I think that's something you want to see early on from Dana as we come out in that opening script, but also see it sustained throughout the game. And I think Michigan State's defense, from what I saw, limited stuff, but just seeing a little bit from watching the game that they've given us the big plays, and kind of when the stuff hits the fan and starts rolling downhill, they kind of it takes a while for them to get it stopped. So I think it's a big opportunity for the Nebraska offense to take advantage of it and put points on the board, but again, be efficient, take care of the football. Do all the right stuff to win football games.
Yeah, I think the state might explode if we have another game-opening drive that doesn't result in the touchdown inside the 10.
Yeah, certs will be made.
Yeah. So I think that's my biggest complaint so far this year, Michael, is just not capitalizing when you have the opportunities, whether it's against good opponent like Michigan or Cincinnati or not. I mean, we got stopped on 4th down against Houston Christian and Akron.
Yeah.
Now I think some of that too, James and I have talked about it. I think some of those failures against Akron and Houston Christian is Dana kind of playing with this food, figuring out who he has, what they're going to get done. But they're well beyond that point. So I expect Nebraska to bounce back. I'm not going to put a line on this game, but I expect this one to actually be kind of convincing.
I agree. I agree. I think it will be almost Chiefs Ravens from today, kind of in that sense of like I won't say it's a must win. I think is it crazy that I want to say this is a must win game?
I think it is.
I think it is. I agree.
Like in the sense that if we truly believe the roulette, I mean, we truly believe that, hey, we failed last week, but we're not failing as far as what our overall mission with the battle is. I feel like this is almost a must win game, and a game you almost want to win or need to win in a convincing fashion.
Yeah,
and it's nothing for the media or national media or for anybody, but for you to prove to yourself right. I think as players and coaches, anyone in that program, that's like, hey, we're right about ourselves. We know what we did. We didn't take advantage of the opportunity versus Michigan, but we know the team we are. We don't need you to believe it until we show it, but we're gonna show it here.
It's a proof of concept game.
Yep.
That's a perfect way to put it. Proof of concept. Yep. I think it's a perfect proof of, this is who we are. This is who we truly are. We're bouncing back from a game. We know we want to win. A lot of emotion, a lot of energy into it, but it didn't go our way. All right. Can we refocus and take our attention to a Michigan State team that, they're again, I think it'll be a challenge, but again, like you guys said, I think we're all in agreement that this, 10, 13-point victory, I think can see it. If it happens late, it happens late. But I think hopefully you see it as a dominating fashion, and I think we'll see that. I'm pretty positive we'll see that.
You can dominate a game and win 10-7 for all I care. But
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And
like,
I think it's the biggest thing. Like it has to look a certain way, especially looking at the
Yeah.
defense. Like it has to look like we corrected our tackling. It was an emphasis, right? Getting aggressive in our fits, being right in our fits, having the right angles in our fits, being on time with our fits, and even being on time with our stunts, how we're calling
Yeah.
it, where we're calling it, who we're using it with, and things like that. So,
yeah.
I want to say, yeah, this is a must-win game, and it must look a certain way for me to be convinced that this is we're capable of doing this continually throughout the rest of the year against the
Yep.
rest of our opponents.
So I think that's what could be different between this team and past Nebraska teams is coming off a bye week. How many times have we seen Nebraska just flounder, right? Just like, oh my God, how could you do this coming out of a bye week? So here you're coming out of a bye week after a loss.
Right.
Let's see what you changed. Let's see
Right.
what you emphasized. Let's see what you put in that wasn't there before. And can you come out of here with a win? I'm with you, Alex. Like you could dominate 10-7. Iowa does all the time.
Mhm.
I want to see them play fast and confident. I want them to play free and not because like what the last 3-4 years have been is, oh my gosh, is it going to happen again? Well,
Right.
don't play that way.
Yeah.
You're better. You are better. You are better than this team.
Hey,
I
yeah, and
want to watch.
I think that's needs to be said. Yeah, at least publicly by maybe people like you guys and maybe myself. But we're better than Michigan State, and I think anybody that's looking at this game that, oh goodness, was going to
Yeah,
be a close battle. No, it should be. And I don't know what I think the line's what 7.5, 8.
this is 8. Now I get rules saying like, okay, every game I'm preparing every
Yeah.
game like it's 17-16. Okay, you're a coach. You want them to go in there ready for battle.
Mhm.
But I remember it was like a halftime. Alex, you probably remember this.
It
It was
was
a
the Akron
halftime
game.
speech. Well, no. It was like last year or 2 years ago. I think it was Northwestern or Purdue. And it was kind of close. I think it was Purdue. And then Nebraska, it was last year, was the Bullock interception game. And then afterwards, you saw the halftime speech, and Rule said at halftime, like, you're gonna win the game. You're the better team, and the better team always wins. And I was just like, whoa, like I didn't expect to hear that from him, but I was happy because I
Right.
think like you have to breathe that life into your team to say, listen, you guys have to believe in yourselves. You're good. You're better
Right.
than them. You shouldn't lose this game.
Right.
And I think that this is kind of a game where I feel like, yeah, Michigan State has some talent, but across the board, like Nebraska's
Yeah.
better, and you need to go
Yeah.
in believing you're better.
Yep. And perform like it. You know what I mean? Both teams coming off a bye, so. I think that's the other part that's going to make this game good
Yep.
early on is that hey we've seen 4 games of you, right, and we had really 2 weeks for some of those GAs probably looking ahead and kind of getting things prepared and ready for you. So I think there's going to be some schematic things that come up on both sides of the ball that neither teams have maybe practiced or seen, or maybe it's something that didn't get taken advantage of early in the season, and now that more eyes on them, that they've been able to take, they can now find ways to take advantage of it. So early on, I expected it to be a good close game, but again, I'm hoping Butler overwhelms Childs with pressure, much like USC did. Be aggressive with our run fits. Dylan can find some good intermediate balls early on, but then work our way to get some deep shots. But then at the end of the day, I want to see us run the football and control the line of scrimmage. You know what I mean? And I think those things are all very very much something that Nebraska can do. Like I said, they're the better team here.
I want to
That's
watch Butler coach this defense next week. Like I call plays on Madden or NCAA. I want to man up on the outside.
Oh my
I want to
gosh.
make that quarterback throw a perfect ball every time
Every time.
and bring the house every time.
Yeah. I'm thinking, what that was kind of my thinking on Michigan, like what stopped him from doing that. And the only thing I could think of is this. I think Butler, it's not even a negative thing, but maybe so much, and it's kind of like how Bo was. Bo was so NFL minded with how he called defenses that sometimes he forgot that in college, and not even a forget, but you almost think you're thinking plays and concepts over players. And we have an X factor with legs at quarterback. It's not like you forget about him, but it's like, okay, if I flood the coverage or flood the pass concept with coverage, we'll have more time to get to him with 4. But more times than not, right, you got 5 offensive linemen, 4 defensive linemen. There's one gap that's always going to be open, right? No matter how you, well, really 2, right? If you put all 5 people in concept, 2 gaps is always going to be open regardless, right? So I think that's where I think at least I felt from Butler last week. He was more NFL minded in his sense with trying to handle Underwood, especially late in that last one where he dropped everyone out. And they ran the ball kind of for that really the kind of game sealing kind of first down with Haynes. Um, and that's where I think he'll get better at that, right? Hopefully he gets better at it. But yeah, it kind of reminded me just kind of, just how Bo thought about defenses. And, people always ask why we always have big quarterback run game. It's just, when you're playing split field and we're playing man match concepts and we're looking at receivers, not really looking at the running quarterback, right? You give them opportunities to do that. So again, like you said, I love to see, more. I mean, we saw like 2 or 3 times in the first 3 weeks at least. Sending Singleton right up the middle on blitzes and pressures and just being more aggressive. Like I nothing to harp on Michigan, but I would have loved to woken up maybe losing that game with Bryce Underwood having, more yardage passing, what I mean, and them having
Or
less
having to
yards
drive
running.
to win the game.
Yeah, or that, I think that. But 2, I think, you do go to overtime if we get that, if we kick the field goal the first drive. So I think,
Or you make the second one.
or you make the
Or you
second
make-
one.
yeah.
So, there's a lot of what ifs. I know Bruce had about 45 plays to show the team. So, again, that ball game was winnable. So I like where we're at. We're heading the right spot.
That's great. That's a good spot to end us. This has been really good, man. Appreciate your time, your thoughts, and your tweets. Again, if you don't follow Michael, you can at his Twitter handle, Coach Rose-Ivey, right?
Yep.
That's your handle. Okay, great. Appreciate it again.
No
Everybody
problem.
else, thanks for listening, tuning in. As always, grateful for you. We'll see you next time. Go Big Red.